Let's take a look now at shipping in WooCommerce, at least the basics of it, which are very similar to JigoShop, but there are many, many more options when it comes to shipping in WooCommerce. So let's go to the shipping tab here. Enable shipping. Well, that's a good one to have. That's by default already on. But of course, you may not have shipping. So, if you've got virtual products or just services, then of course you don't need shipping at all. Enable shipping calculator on the cart page. If you're not going to have any ability to calculate based on whatever parameters, then you would take this right off. But in a lot of cases, you're going to have shipping calculations done. And then you can hide your shipping costs until an address is entered. And this can be useful sometimes because people can get confused and think that's the charge, but in fact, it's going to be more once they enter their address. So you could always put on hide shipping costs until an address is entered. All right. Now, shipping method display. Here's all the shipping methods right now that are possible right out of the box in WooCommerce. Of course, you can add extensions onto it and change that, but out of the box, these are the ones possible. Now, you can actually choose multiple shipping methods in WooCommerce. I'm not totally sure how that process would work, what that involves, but it's possible. The default is that they're radio buttons. In other words, you have to choose one or the other. And I personally can't see changing that, but you can if you need to. Shipping destination only ship to the user's billing address. Well, you don't want to constrain them that way. It's possible you might need that in some scenario, but most of the time, you want them to have the option to have a different shipping address. Ship to the billing address by default. Well, that makes sense. Typically, people are going to want that, but you want them to have the option. And collect shipping address even when not required. That's interesting too. Maybe you want to have a place for them to list where they're going to have their material sent. I'm not totally sure what that means. Collect shipping address even when it's not required. You may need that. Anyway, it's available. All right, drag and drop methods to control display order. This is very handy. So let's say I want local delivery to be first. I can just drag it around like that. Notice, though, these aren't all turned on. These are all possible, but they haven't all been enabled. Now, how do you do that? Well, you go to these individual sections. Let me just save my changes there. It's always good to do that. Even if you haven't done anything, you're not sure, just hit Save Changes. Okay, sometimes it's easy for people to miss this little mini menu down here. It's not right up below shipping. It's down below here. So let's say, for example, I want flat rate enabled. Right now, it's not. So when I check this off and hit Save Changes, you're going to see back over here under Shipping Options, you'll see now its status is enabled. All right. And I can also make a default shipping method here. In fact, I'm going to do that. I'm going to choose flat rate to be the default. If there are multiple ones available and it comes up on the shopping cart, it'll actually show flat rate first as already selected. Now, for each one of these, you can control them individually. I'm not going to go into all the details of these, but let's say, for example, you had free shipping, which we've got enabled right now. You would have to set a minimum order amount here. If you leave it blank, it'll actually disable it. But let's say, for example, it's going to be $50 will get you free shipping. Now, in WooCommerce, you can check this box off here that you have to have a coupon in order to do this. Okay, so if we do this, then it doesn't matter whether or not they meet this minimum order. If they don't have the coupon, okay, it's just going to ignore the minimum because the coupon is going to give a minimum order amount. That's what you set in your coupon. So it's going to ignore this, and it's only going to be available for people who filled in the coupon. And whether free shipping is available to all countries. Obviously, you're going to want to restrict that in order to save yourself a whole lot of costs. Okay, so that's what you would do there. I'm not going to bother saving those changes to free shipping. Local delivery, this is an option that isn't available out of the box in JigoShop, but is available here. And you can set amounts, and whether this amount is a percentage or a fixed amount per product. You would enter that here. What's the fee? And this is what it applies to, or how it applies rather. And you can always control the title of how it's going to appear on your shopping cart. This one allows you to specify postal codes or zip codes, so you can get very, very specific. It also says method availability, and this, of course, you'd want to set because you don't want local delivery for somewhere halfway around the world. Okay, local pickup, international delivery. This is a handy one, again, out of the box, but it allows you to create certain pricing just for international delivery. Shipping classes, we're going to get into that in a separate video because it's a whole different ball of wax here. But there's our flat rate, and I'm going to say cost per order. If I put this on here, let's say it's $5. I leave it blank if I want to disable it. Flat rate, is it available to all countries? Well, let's just leave it on all for now. Now the calculation type, this is very important. Are we going to charge this rate for the order as a whole? Are we going to do it for each item? Or are we going to charge it for each shipping class? And again, we'll get to the classes in a separate video. So here's our default amount. Okay. And let's say it's $2.50. Let's just put that in. Now you can also have a handling fee as well. Let's say there's a $1.50 handling fee. And what's the minimum fee? So if it's anything less, it's going to meet this minimum, and I'm going to say the minimum is $15. Shipping options, I'm going to leave that until we get to classes again. So I'll save my changes, and when I go over here to check out in my cart, I'm going to see my shipping options down here. I'm going to update my cart. Okay. And it should give us, well, it's not giving us our shipping amount. And that may be because we didn't do shipping at the time. Let's do this. I'm going to get rid of this and update my cart. Okay, the coupon's been removed. Now I'm going to add a new product to my cart because that may be why I'm not getting shipping calculated here. And I go back over to here. I'm going to order a new plate. And we got to go drill down to dinner plates. Drilling down can be annoying sometimes, can't it? Okay, so now we add to cart. There's our plate. That's still not doing our shipping. Let's try calculating shipping. And let's give it a country here of Canada. And British Columbia, and V0R280. Okay, and I update my totals. And now it's bringing in my flat rate. Okay. You know what I had forgotten? I'd forgotten that I had set it back here to only show once I'd entered an address. Hide shipping costs until address is entered. So it did work, and I just fooled myself and forgot about it. So now I've got my flat rate shipping. If I increase my products, right, it remains the same because it's a per order total. So you can play around with all the different settings in there, but that gives you a quick idea of how to set up shipping right out of the box in WooCommerce.